Barcelona might finally have a replacement for Sergio Busquets, and his name is Marc Bernal. The 17-year-old has impressed a lot of Barca fans in the friendlies against Man City and Real Madrid, so Hansi Flick should definitely trust him this season, and here I'll tell you exactly why. First of all, let's take a closer look at the unique profile of Marc Bernal. He stands at 1m91, making him a really tall defensive midfielder, just like Sergio Busquets and Rodri for example. As a consequence, his legs are quite long too, enabling him to easily make interceptions and recover the ball. Marc Bernal is an absolute monster defensively, and at La Masia he has even played as a centre back sometimes. On top of that, his positioning is really good and he will always find free space to receive the ball. He's also known for being very press resistant, and passing wise he is very accurate. Against Real Madrid for example, he didn't make one single misplaced pass. It doesn't stop there though. Marc Bernal isn't your generic defensive midfielder. He can also add lots to the team offensively. He is great at shooting from outside the box, and let's be honest, at Barcelona we usually lack those kind of midfielders. And if that wasn't enough, he is also really good at making runs forwards and being a threat inside of the box. He is not completely the new Busquets because he also has this element of being a really good physical midfielder who makes runs forward to him, but one thing's for sure, he is a really good prospect that can have a really important impact for Barcelona in the coming season. However, at Barcelona we really have a packed midfield, so where exactly does Marc Bernal fit in? To answer that question, it is good to start by looking at Hansi Flick's midfield formula. Hansi Flick likes to play with a double pivot behind an attacking midfielder. At Bayern Munich, that double pivot consisted of Leon Goretzka next to Thiago. Joshua Kimmich could also play in that role that Thiago played in, but he also often played at right back. The attacking midfield role was filled by Thomas Müller, of course. Now, the next thing is very important. This double pivot has two very different kind of profiles. Thiago is a deep playmaker. He makes those forward passes and he is crucial for finding those spaces in attack. Leon Goretzka, on the other hand, is a very different kind of midfielder. He's more physical and he recovers a lot of balls and also makes runs forwards. This kind of double pivot was perfect for Hansi Flick's vertical and fluent way of playing, because you have a deep playmaker who can find those spaces in attack, and because you have the other midfielder who is very dynamic. Anyway, let's talk about Barcelona and Marc Bernal again. Up till now in pre-season, Hansi Flick has been using the same midfield formula that he used with Bayern Munich. This time, the double pivots consisted of Marc Bernal together with Marc Bernal, with Pablo Torre as the attacking midfielder. Now, here's the cool thing. Marc Bernal actually fits this position perfectly. Just like with Bayern Munich, there is one deep playmaker, in this case Marc Bernal. Just like Thiago, he's really good at finding those spaces in attack from deep in midfield. The other player, Marc Bernal, is actually kinda similar to Leon Goretzka. They're both physical midfielders who are good at recovering the ball and making runs forwards. Marc Bernal might even be more technical and press resistant than Leon Goretzka though. So you get the point, Marc Bernal is basically the perfect midfielder for Hansi Flick's Barcelona. That is also why Hansi Flick started him in those games against Man City and Real Madrid. And bear in mind, this guy is only just as young as Lamine Yamal and Pau Cubarsí, so this guy really is the limit for Marc Bernal. There is one problem, however. Barcelona's midfield is stacked with options. If everyone is fit again, it seems that Marc Bernal might have a hard time getting minutes in the first team. At least, that's what you would think. Let's take a closer look at all of Hansi Flick's midfield options and where they would ideally fit into this system. Ilkay Gundogan might be very versatile, but his best position is that attacking midfield role. He is just very good at linking up with attackers and finding the right space to run into. Fermin Lopez would also ideally play in that attacking midfield role. As for Pedri, I think a lot of people would also put him in that attacking midfield role, but actually that might not be his best position. Just consider this. Is Pedri more similar to Thiago or more similar to Thomas Müller? I think most of you would say Thiago, right? So then the best position for Pedri is probably in that double pivot, right? For Frenkie de Jong I would say the same, if he stays at least, and Marc Bernal would also play in that deep playmaker role of course. All three of them are great for that role, and let's be honest, with the busy match schedule and with all of the injuries, they will probably all end up getting enough first team minutes this season. Then there's only one spot left, and this needs to be a midfielder who is both physical but also still technically very good. In an ideal world, this could actually be the perfect position for Gavi, because he is very good at recovering balls, and he's also maybe Barcelona's most press-resistant midfielder. After Gavi though, Marc Bernal might be the best player in this position. There is just no other Barcelona midfielder with his defensive capabilities. It is true that you could also put Andreas Christensen in that position, but he doesn't have the same technical qualities that Gavi or Marc Bernal have. Lastly, it's interesting to also mention Mikel Merino here. He would probably be a great signing for Barcelona in terms of squad depth, but if Barcelona don't sign him, then that would only make Marc Bernal more important. So Marc Bernal is definitely an interesting player to look forward to this season. If you ask me, I think he could go on to have the same kind of minutes that Fermin Lopez had last season. It will probably strongly depend on the amount of injuries that Barcelona will have. But one thing's for sure, Marc Bernal has a really bright future ahead of him in Barcelona, and I think he will be really interesting to look forward to in the coming season.